Hey guys, it's me, Lily. I'm back. So today I'm doing something a little bit random. You know how I said I wanted to read a lot more non-fiction this year? Surprise, I actually fucking did. I followed through on something. What? One of my goals for this year was to read more non-fiction books. And so far I've read 3. Each of them took me 2 days to read, which is really weird for me. I think it takes me like a week plus to read a fiction book, but for some reason non-fiction I can just get through them like that. I must just have an easier time reading them, I guess. I don't have 2 of them with me because I don't know, they're in boxes or some shit. So the first one I read was The Case Against Fragrance by Kate Grenville. This is like a health science book. It's written by an Australian author, so that's pretty cool. So basically Grenville, the author, has a tendency to get headaches and migraines from artificial fragrances. And apparently this is a thing that affects many people. I actually had no idea how prevalent this issue was. But a lot of people react badly to scented products that we come into contact with like 99% of the time, because scented things are like really everywhere. Perfumes, scented cosmetics, deodorants, cleaning products, air fresheners, washing powders. It just goes on. Like the scent is in everything. Artificial scents are everywhere. There's no escaping them. Sorry, I've got like some shit in my fucking eye. Like this happens to me like 3 times a day. I shit you not, it's the worst. So in this book, she takes a very thorough and in-depth look at the fragrance industry and what exactly is in fragrances, and if anyone's even testing them for safety, and the negative health effects of wearing and being surrounded by like unregulated chemicals all the time. The results are actually quite alarming. Like, let me just say, Kate Grenville does her research. Everything she states in the book is backed up by like a shit ton of research. This woman does not fuck around. She looks at the link between like chemicals in fragrances and not only like the short-term health problems like headaches and asthma and the like, but also the long-term health effects like hormone disruption and even cancer, which is honestly terrifying when she goes on to explain that majority of these products are being put on the market without any kind of testing, because this will kill you. These products are regulated by the same people that sell them, and the ingredients don't even have to be named on the label. I'm not sure, I read this so long ago. I don't remember if she said this is just Australia or if it's like global. Yeah, like I said, the negative health effects of fragrances like headaches and respiratory problems affect a lot more people than I thought. Grenville pulls examples from people all over the globe who have symptoms that range from like mild headaches and allergies to being hospitalized because they can't breathe. She also goes on to explain how some workplaces are even implementing fragrance-free policies. I know my high school definitely had a rule against aerosol cans. Everything had to be like stick or roll on. So yeah, this book is a combination of Grenville's personal experiences alongside extensive social and scientific research. It definitely made me like hyper aware of the products I use that have unnecessary fragrance in them after reading it. I was like scared to breathe after reading it. I was like, fuck, I'm gonna die, like there's poison in the air, like shit. It was interesting. You learn shit from reading sometimes. I will say the one thing about the writing is like it's very dense. There is just so much scientific jargon like sprinkled through. There's a lot of info dumping, I guess you could say. That's probably my only complaint, is like the writing was very hard to read sometimes. Like I couldn't follow it. Like it was all these scientific words. Like bitch, I'm a fucking media student. Like I don't know what the fuck. Anyway, on to the second book I read, The Art of War by Sun Tzu. So this is actually a military treatise. I don't know. So The Art of War is an ancient Chinese military treaty from I think 5th century BC. So it's comprised of 13 chapters, each of them detailing a specific aspect of warfare. The text is said to be one of, if not the most influential strategy texts in East Asian warfare to date. It's even been applied to many fields outside of military, such as business tactics, legal strategy, and so on. A lot of it actually focuses on how to fight wars without actually engaging in battle. And it really looks at outsmarting the opponent so that physical battle isn't necessary, which is why it's actually proved to be a very useful training guide for many like competitive ventures that don't actually involve physical combat. I mean, it's interesting to think about how many of these rules and guidelines have been applied to so many competitive industries and how they're still relevant today, centuries later. So the third non-fiction book that I read that I'm going to talk about today is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. This one is a what's it called? Self-help book. The whole time I was reading this, I thought Mark Manson was this guy, Gary Vaynerchuk. Turns out Mark Manson is actually this guy, and he is a professional blogger, entrepreneur, and former dating coach, I believe. He's also written a few other self-help books as well. Anyway, we're here to talk about this one. The tone of this book is very blunt and direct. I'd say the main points of this book are we shouldn't waste our time and energy caring about menial things or things that are out of our control, which on its own is very much just stating the fucking obvious. But his book goes further into detail about it. However, he puts a lot of emphasis on taking responsibility for our own behaviors. Basically, he says that shitty things can happen to us that aren't our fault. How we handle those situations is always our responsibility. He uses the example of a baby being left on a doorstep, and while it's not your fault that the baby's been left there, it is now your responsibility to do something about it. He says this applies to how we handle our emotions as well. Feeling like a victim isn't going to get you anywhere. You have to accept that how you process these events and move on from them is going to be up to you to do. He also talks about the values that we have and how having shitty values, using material possessions or money as a metric for how successful you are, will always make us feel shit and not good enough. And the same goes for using things that are out of our control as a metric for how good we are as a person. Things that rely on other people's perceptions of us, they'll always make you feel like shit because you can't do anything about them, you can't control them. If you use being liked by everyone as a way to measure how successful you are, you're always going to be miserable. Not every single person is going to like you. Like, that's just a fucking fact of life. Take me, for example. There are thousands of people who do like me, but there's still always dislikes on my videos, you know? There are always going to be people that don't like me for whatever fucking reason. There are always going to be people who don't like you. Same with material things, because companies just keep bringing out better and better versions of things, and there's always going to be someone out there with more money than you, and there's always going to be someone with a better whatever than you. Valuing things like those are always going to make you feel miserable. Instead, he suggests things that we can actually control in our life. If you use the value of honesty, every day you're able to work towards making yourself better, improving on yourself with every new interaction. Fuck, even things like organization, I guess. Being punctual. If I used being punctual as a measure of how successful I was, I mean, I wouldn't be very fucking successful right now, but it's something that I can like actively improve on that is 100% in my control. Valuing things like that will actually make you feel more successful and more fulfilled. An interesting idea that he also talks about in the book that I've been trying hang on, I wrote it down. Action isn't just the effect of motivation, it's also the cause of it. Seeing that I am notorious for procrastinating and like not doing things because I feel unmotivated, it says that the simple act of starting it will often get the creative juices flowing, and before you know it, you're feeling inspired and motivated to keep going and finish the task at hand. Which, you know what, it's actually true. It's called the do something principle. Even if you just make a start, more often than not, you'll find yourself carrying out the entire task. Or at the very least, doing more than you initially set out to do. It's like telling yourself just read one page and then you find yourself reading both sides, you know, and then you read the whole chapter and then you read the book. Or like just write one sentence and then you've written a paragraph. Things like that. Of course, there are some ideas in this book that I don't necessarily agree with, that I will probably not be taking into consideration, but that's how it goes with most self-help books anyway. With that being said, I think it's worth reading. There was a lot of swearing. He swears a lot, but I think if you watch me, you don't really give a fuck about that anyway. But that's it. So yeah, I'm actually happy that I did read nonfiction this year, because I know that was one thing that I said I was going to do. I was really worried that I wasn't going to do it at all. Let me know if you've read any of the books. I don't think anyone would have really read Case Against Fragrance, because last time I checked it had like fuck all ratings on Goodreads, like no one's read it. Hope you're having a great life. I'll see you later. And if I get any comments about how chapped my lips are, I'm gonna fucking delete them, because bitch I know. See ya.